Hello, everyone. My name is Jamon McKinney, or you can just call me Juice because that is my nickname. Welcome to the show today. As you guys know, I'm the host of the Juice Alert, which can be found on YouTube as well as podcasting platforms. So if you have not subscribed to the Juice Alert already, be sure to do that right about now. You will not regret it. Like I said, you can find me on YouTube or podcasting platforms. On the Juice Alert, I talk about football mainly, but I also talk about basketball, a little bit of baseball as well. I talk about college sports, just sports in general, but mainly football. Be sure to follow me on social media. I have the links to all of my social media accounts in the description of this episode. And by the way, if you guys are wondering why I'm not showing my face in this episode, well, I was kind of doing a project for school that's related to my major. I'm obviously majoring in media communications with specifics in sports. So I was kind of talking about the Packers, on a certain level for a little school project, and it kind of manifested into a little mini show. So I figured, I'll chop this thing up and I'll make it into a Juice Alert episode. But today I won't be showing my face, unfortunately. You guys will get my face next week. I have not really been covering a lot of broad NFL topics this week. I've kind of been burnt out this week, so this was a week for me to really kick back and rest. I promise all of you, once all the NFL games wrap up this week, I will have a great show lined up for you guys. I'll be showing my face. I'll probably even, throw in some college football topics as well as some MLB topics this upcoming week as the World Series wrapped up. And eventually, I'll get around to dropping an NBA podcast for you guys as well. There's a lot of great stuff coming. Just bear with me, people. But with all that being said, in this episode, I'm going to talk about the Green Bay Packers, my favorite football team. I cover all 32 NFL teams on this channel. I cover a bunch of teams and a bunch of storylines, but I don't solely focus in on one team usually. But I figured I'd be pretty selfish today and talk about the Green Bay Packers because I'm very fascinated by Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers is one of my favorite football players of all time, arguably my favorite football player of all time. He's great. And the Packers, they're an interesting football team. Some people think the Packers are legit. Some people think the Packers are frauds. I'll do a full deep dive into what I thought this Packers team was going to look like this season. I obviously covered that stuff in the offseason, but I want to kind of recap kind of how I felt about the Packers heading into this year. Then I'll talk about how they're looking as a football team as we speak today. And we'll talk about if Green Bay can, in fact, actually bring home their fifth Lombardi trophy this season in the 2020-21 NFL season. So, obviously, if you have not been following the NFL this season, the Green Bay Packers are 5-1 on the year. They have beaten the Minnesota Vikings, the Detroit Lions, the New Orleans Saints on the road. The Vikings game was on the road as well. They've beaten the Falcons. They lost on the road to the Buccaneers. And recently, this past week, they just beat the Houston Texans on the road. Houston's not a very good football team, however, okay? Now, what was my expectations for the Green Bay Packers heading into the 2020 NFL season? My expectations for the Green Bay Packers were that they were going to be a Super Bowl contender once again. I felt they could win anywhere from 11 to 13 games. Actually, I should say 10. I felt they could win anywhere from 10 to 13 games. I thought that Green Bay was arguably a top 5 team in all of football. And I even made an episode in the offseason that was titled, "Don't be surprised if Aaron Rodgers wins the 2020 NFL MVP." Now, I want to kind of circle back to last year a little bit. Last year gave me a lot of hope for the Green Bay Packers' future going forward because as a Packers fan, I've had to sit and watch Aaron Rodgers carry very sorry, well below average rosters for so many years. And last year, things completely changed. What people have to realize about the Green Bay Packers is roughly about 7 to 8 years ago, this football team, after Aaron Rodgers won his first ever Super Bowl, beating the Pittsburgh Steelers in Super Bowl 45, right after Aaron Rodgers won the Super Bowl, over the last, more than a half decade, the Packers, after they won that Super Bowl, were winning in very unhealthy ways. And what do I mean by that? Basically, the Green Bay Packers were a football team every single year that rolled into the season with not a bad roster, but not a roster that knocks your socks off. But why were the Green Bay Packers relevant? Well, they were relevant because they had that bad man, Aaron Rodgers, under center, and he is a great all-time quarterback. I've said in the past, Aaron Rodgers is arguably a top 5 quarterback of all time. To me, he's at worst a top 10 quarterback of all time. And I've said in the past, Aaron Rodgers, from roughly 2011 to early 2017, I felt he was the best quarterback in the entire NFL. At worst, top 3 at his position. But the Green Bay Packers were winning football games solely based off of Aaron Rodgers' greatness. It was Aaron Rodgers or bust. And that's a very unhealthy way to win football games. Now, because they have the greatest thrower of the football in NFL history, in my opinion, running the show, you're going to be pretty good from time to time. But the team did not consistently give Aaron Rodgers a real running game to work with. I mean, at times, he was using Ty Montgomery as a running back. Ty Montgomery was a converted wide receiver to a running back. The guy wore number 88. That's not an ideal running back number. At times, that was one of his better running backs. Eddie Lacy had a sprinkle in there with a cup of coffee, but for the most part, Aaron Rodgers, for most of his career, has had a lack of a run game. Suspect offensive lines. Mike McCarthy, for years and years, was holding Green Bay back. After Mike McCarthy won his first ever Super Bowl, he became too complacent as a head coach. He didn't adapt his system. Players constantly got frustrated with them, Mike McCarthy at times got labeled as being lazy. And let's be honest, people. The show that Mike McCarthy is running in Dallas right now, it's a clown show. And I look at the talent on Dallas' roster, there's no excuse for how bad they are. I don't care that Dak Prescott is hurt. They should not be that bad. So McCarthy was holding the team back. And ultimately, the defense time and time again failed Aaron Rodgers, I believe in Aaron Rodgers' playoff losses. His defense gives up on average 36.5 points per game. Yes, that is correct. They give up over 35 points per game in his playoff losses. So Aaron Rodgers didn't have a lot of help around him. And it did not matter how great Aaron Rodgers was. At some point, the Green Bay Packers were going to come up short. Even when Aaron Rodgers was playing at an all-time great level, back in 2016, remember when Aaron Rodgers said relax and ran the table and drove the 4-6 Green Bay Packers to the playoffs after reeling off 6 straight victories to win the NFC North Division? Remember the great game they had versus the Giants in the playoffs? Remember him going on the road and beating Dallas in the playoffs? Remember him doing everything in his power to try to beat Atlanta and then getting blown out? Yeah, guess what? It didn't matter how great Aaron Rodgers was. Aaron Rodgers was playing at an all-time great level in 2016. All the Packers could muster was getting to the NFC Championship game. And they got blown out in that game because the team was not good. The minute Aaron Rodgers stopped being great for the Green Bay Packers, that's when their team went to the tank. And see, I've always told people, you need to really evaluate these teams based on how good they are outside their quarterback. What's made Tom Brady and Bill Belichick successful in New England? I know that Bill Belichick is without Tom Brady right now. I know Tom Brady's in Tampa Bay doing his thing, and Bill Belichick is struggling in New England right now. But circling back to their dynasty, their 20-year dynasty, what made Belichick and Brady so great as a dynasty is Bill Belichick and the Patriots organization built a Patriots team that was not solely dependent upon Tom Brady's greatness. I'll give you a couple of examples. Tom Brady won a Super Bowl versus the Los Angeles Rams by a score of 13-3. Tom Brady scored 13 points in the Super Bowl, and he still won the football game because the defense was excellent, because the offensive line was very good, and because the Patriots are a well-coached football team. In fact, when Tom Brady doesn't score 25 points in a playoff game, guess what his record is in the playoffs in his career? If he fails to get to 25 points in a playoff game, you know what his record is? His record is 12-9. That's astonishing to me. And I know some people that slurp Tom Brady and think he's the greatest thing since sliced bread are going to say, well, that shows Tom Brady is just by far the GOAT. That shows Tom Brady is this God. That shows Tom Brady can't be touched. And you can make that argument, but I argue that to a certain degree, it's the exact opposite. Because if you can't score over 25 points in a playoff game, if you can't score over 24 points, more times than not, you're probably going to lose. Or you're probably not going to win as many football games as you should. The fact that Tom Brady can win a Super Bowl scoring 13 points in that game, and the fact that Tom Brady can have a well above 500 record when he doesn't even score 25 points in a playoff game, it shows you the Patriots are not Tom Brady or bust. If Aaron Rodgers plays badly for the Packers, they're toast. If Tom Brady plays somewhat poorly for the Patriots, of course they're going to struggle to a certain degree, but you know that Bill Belichick is going to run the football effectively. You know that defense is going to hold the opposing team in check. Even going back to last year, look at Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs. Patrick Mahomes was not good for 3.5 quarters in the Super Bowl. But you want to know why Patrick Mahomes came away victorious in the Super Bowl? Ultimately because he's a great quarterback, but also because the defense held it down for Patrick Mahomes. For 3.5 quarters, Patrick Mahomes was not great, but guess what? The Kansas City Chiefs defense, they were great. They held the game in check for the Chiefs, and they said, okay, Patrick Mahomes, the game is close to the fourth quarter. You need to take us there. In fact, last year, the Kansas City Chiefs beat the Minnesota Vikings, who were a playoff team last year, that beat the Saints. The Vikings were a 10-win playoff team that won a playoff game last year, and without Patrick Mahomes, the Chiefs knocked off the Vikings. That tells you, and by the way, Matt Moore was starting in that game. Okay, before I get to my next point, Matt Moore was starting in that game for the Chiefs. Matt Moore is not a starting quarterback. They beat the Minnesota Vikings with a backup quarterback. The point I'm trying to make, people, is if you want to be taken seriously and be a true Super Bowl contender year in and year out, you can't solely rely on a Hall of Fame quarterback. And last year, the Packers, they took some strides in the right direction. Obviously, they go 13-3 last year. They go all the way to the NFC Championship game. But for the first time, the Packers, like I said earlier, they were winning in healthy ways. So what did the Packers do? The Packers brought in Matt LaFleur to be a guy that changes the culture and to be a guy that runs an offense that can help take some of the pressure off of Aaron Rodgers while elevating his game in the process. And while last year, Aaron Rodgers didn't really take the step that we all thought he would take last year, you could clearly see there was a new philosophy in Green Bay. Let's take the ball out of Aaron Rodgers' hands. Let's run the ball effectively with Aaron Jones and Jamal Williams, something that Mike McCarthy did not do the previous couple of years in Green Bay. Aaron Jones was on the roster for the last couple of years in Green Bay when McCarthy was there. McCarthy just refused to run the football consistently. So shout out to Matt LaFleur for coming in and changing the culture in Green Bay. And Matt LaFleur actually decided to take some of the pressure off of Aaron Rodgers by deciding to run the football effectively, okay? Jamal Williams and Aaron Jones had very good seasons last year, specifically Aaron Jones, who had 16 rushing touchdowns last year. And at times, the run game bailed out Aaron Rodgers. You know, Aaron Rodgers, he had a very good season last year, but it wasn't an all-time MVP level season like we, expect Aaron Rodgers to have every single year. At times, Aaron Rodgers, he kind of got bailed out by the defense in the run game when he didn't have his best stuff, okay? So that was great to see from Green Bay. Obviously, in the offseason last year, the front office decided to invest in defense and free agency, which is something that the front office in the past years just had not done. They had not attempted to go out and make trades or sign free agents. They bring in Zadarius and Preston Smith, who had excellent seasons last year as pass rushers. They brought in Adrian Amos. They brought in Darnell Savage from the draft. And those moves paid off because the Packers last year, they were a top 10 defense. That was, I believe, the third time in Aaron Rodgers' career he had a top 10 defense. He's been playing in the NFL for 13 seasons, And that was only the third time Aaron Rodgers had a top 10 defense to work with. So it's very nice to see that the Packers, really invested in that defense, because let's be real. When Aaron Rodgers has been given an elite defense, in 2010 when he had a top 5 defense, that was the only time he had a top 5 defense. Guess what? He won the Super Bowl, people. So we know what Aaron Rodgers can do with a great defense. Now, obviously, last year, he didn't quite win a Super Bowl, but the team still did very well. They went 13-3, and I felt they overachieved last year because I thought the Green Bay Packers would go through some growing pains of the football team because you got a new head coach, you're installing a whole new system on offense, a lot of new moving parts, and let's be real, the NFC North, I felt that was a pretty good division last year, okay? The Vikings were pretty good. The Bears, despite inconsistent quarterback play, they were a pretty good football team. And when Matthew Stafford was healthy last year, the Lions, they were pretty good. So, it was a great season for the Packers, but it didn't obviously end the way people thought it would for them based on the context of what happened in the season. I personally thought Green Bay had a pretty good shot to knock off San Francisco last year in the NFC Championship game, but the 49ers, they were clearly the better team. The Packers were just outmatched in that game. And let's be real, the fact that the Packers got all the way to the NFC title game with a first-year head coach last year, that's overachieving. I don't care what anyone says because I guarantee you not very many people expected the Packers to be in that position in the first place. So they overachieved last year. And getting back to what I said earlier, heading into this season, I felt the Packers could really potentially take the next step as a football team and potentially even win the Super Bowl. I really felt that they could do that. And let's be real. Anytime you have Aaron Rodgers as your quarterback, you're basically a lock to be a Super Bowl contender, regardless of the situation, if you have a relatively decent roster around Aaron Rodgers, okay? So, like I said earlier, I felt the Packers would be Super Bowl contenders this year. I said I would not be shocked if Aaron Rodgers went out and won MVP. But in the back of my mind, I thought to myself, some of that might have been wishful thinking. The reason why is because Green Bay in the offseason did not do a whole lot of things to truly improve their football team. Now, they brought in Christian Kirksey, who's an upgrade over trash, terrible, no good, doo-doo, sorry Blake Martinez. I'm sorry, I had to go on that little rant. Blake Martinez is one of the most overrated players in the entire NFL. That guy can't stop a nosebleed in the run game. He's one of the worst middle linebackers in all of football. New York Giants, you can take on Blake Martinez all you want because he was garbage in Green Bay. So that was an addition by subtraction, just getting rid of Martinez, okay? You're bringing Kirksey, who's a decent linebacker, not a great linebacker, but decent. But outside of Kirksey, the Packers didn't really bring in anyone to improve their team. They brought in Devin Funchess, but unfortunately, Devin Funchess opted out of the season because of the whole pandemic situation. And Rick Wagner, he was brought in, but Rick Wagner is not supposed to be the ideal guy to come in and replace a guy like Brian Bulaga. And in the draft, I felt the Packers kind of dropped the ball. I was a fan of Jordan Love as a player, but I did not like the pick simply because there's a time to prepare for the future. And after the season the Packers had, in which they got to an NFC title game where a lot of people recognize the Packers are good, but they got boat raced by the 49ers in that game. And the Packers did nothing in the offseason to truly convince me that they got closer to San Francisco. When you draft a quarterback for the future, instead of going all in the draft and free agency to try to improve your team coming off a season in which you go to the NFC title game, that's a problem. Like I said, I like Jordan Love. I think Jordan Love can really become a very good quarterback one day, potentially a top 10 quarterback. That's why I didn't crucify the Packers for making that move because I think Jordan Love can be very good. Obviously, we know Jordan Love is not a finished product. He's going to need to sit the bench for about a year or two to really properly develop because right now he's actually the third string quarterback on the team. He's nowhere close to being ready to start an NFL game right now, okay? Good for Jordan Love that he went to the Packers because if he went to a team that was going to ask him to start from day number one, it would have been a disaster. And he probably would have failed as an NFL quarterback. So I'm happy for Jordan Love the person because a lot of NFL quarterbacks that are drafted high in the first round, they have a lot of talent that just need to sit for about a year to properly develop their skills and really truly learn the NFL offense. a lot of quarterbacks don't get the opportunity that Jordan Love gets. So I hope that Jordan Love realizes the magnitude of the opportunity that he has and takes it and runs with it. And listen, I've said in the past, Jordan Love he can't be a bust. If he becomes a bust or an average quarterback, it's a failure for the Packers. I said a couple of months ago that Jordan Love honestly needs to win the Packers a Super Bowl to justify this move. You want to know why I say that? Because if Aaron Rodgers and this team fails this year, and we look back and say, man, the Packers could have drafted a wide receiver. The Packers, they could have drafted Patrick Queen or another defensive player to help Aaron Rodgers get the ball back more. If we look back and say the Packers did not build a football team properly around Aaron Rodgers in the context of this season and going forward, and they chose the future over the present just after they went to the NFC title game, that's failing their football team, and that's not maximizing a Super Bowl window. So I don't care what anyone says. Jordan Love either needs to be not an all-time great quarterback. I won't go that far. Either Jordan Love needs to be a top 10 quarterback, or he needs to win the Packers a Super Bowl. He cannot be a bad player, okay? Because there's too many good first-round quarterbacks that have been popping as of late. Kyler Murray, Joe Burrow, Justin Herbert, Jared Goff, Carson Wentz, Deshaun Watson, Lamar Jackson, Patrick Mahomes. All these first-round quarterbacks have looked great. So Jordan Love, you better be good. And the Packers traded up to get Jordan Love when Aaron Rodgers was playing good football. You know, he may not be in his prime anymore, but Aaron Rodgers is still playing very, very good football right now. And they drafted a quarterback. So there's a lot of pressure on Jordan Love, but I'm not going to go on that tangent anymore. I also felt that the Packers, they needed the team within to really step up. What do I mean by that? I mean that in order for the Packers to take that next step, a lot of the younger guys need to step up this season, because last year the Packers, they were the 5th youngest team in the NFL. And so we looked at this season, and we looked at the moves the Packers made in the offseason. It was very clear very early on that Brian Gutekunst was going to put a lot of trust in the roster that he already had assembled. And so far, I gotta say, man, the coaching staff and the players, they've stepped up this year. Matt LaFleur, he's really evolved as an offensive coach. Last year, at times, Matt LaFleur was not very good off script. He made some very questionable decisions at times as head coach. At times, versus some of the better defenses, he didn't have a whole lot of answers, specifically versus San Francisco. But this year, I think Matt LaFleur is proving that he's for real and that he's not a product of Aaron Rodgers. In fact, I think Matt LaFleur has elevated Aaron Rodgers' game this year. This is the first time where I can truly look at a Green Bay Packers team and say, this is officially a brand new, creative, and innovative offense. And Robert Tonyan, Jay Sternberger, Marquez Valdes-Scantling, even though Scantling at times has been inconsistent, they've all stepped up. The offensive line has stepped up. The defense, they've kind of taken a step back, but Zadarius Smith, Jair Alexander, he's really taken a big time step this year. Jair Alexander has arguably been the best defensive back in the entire NFL this year. He's been great at that high, according to Pro Football Focus. Right now, I think that he has the highest grade as far as a defensive back in the NFL at the corner position. He's been amazing. Kenny Clark's been good. And the linebacker core has improved. But I gotta say, man, Aaron Rodgers deserves the most credit for this Packers team really, truly being a team that I look at and say, okay, they're not a team that's just squeaking by like they were last year at times, winning a bunch of close games. This team at times is dominating opponents, and they're really, really legit this year. At times, Green Bay was a little bit of fool's gold last year. Even though they went to the NFC title game, I felt they overachieved last year. But this year, this really could be the year the Packers win the Super Bowl. And it all starts with Aaron Rodgers, man. It really does. Aaron Rodgers this year, 66% completion percentage, 17 touchdowns, 2 interceptions through 6 games played, along with a pass rating of 113.4. And outside of Russell Wilson right now, there's not a quarterback in the NFL playing at a higher level than Aaron Rodgers. And if Russell Wilson continues to struggle, Aaron Rodgers will be the 2020 NFL MVP, no doubt about it, in my opinion. And shame on the people that thought Aaron Rodgers was washed. Pro Football Focus came out in the offseason and they said there was an article that was written about Aaron Rodgers that said Aaron Rodgers is the problem in Green Bay. Aaron Rodgers, that guy, the bad man that we all know and love, the greatest thrower of the football of all time. He's the problem? Give me a break, people. There were so many analysts out there that were trying to bail on Aaron Rodgers, saying he's washed, he's no good, he's going to be a bad teammate because the Packers drafted Jordan Love, the Packers are frauds. Stop it, folks. Aaron Rodgers, he said himself a couple weeks ago, my down season is career years for some quarterbacks in the NFL. In fact, a lot of quarterbacks in the NFL, would love to have Aaron Rodgers down seasons because guess what? Aaron Rodgers down season is a lot of quarterbacks' best season. Aaron Rodgers last year, he was playing some good football. 4,000 yards, 26 touchdowns, 4 interceptions, a 96 passer rating. I mean, can we give the guy a break? He was learning a whole new offense that at times last year was not very creative. He's not playing a stat-friendly offense like Drew Brees, where all Drew Brees throws is screen passes and underneath routes, and he's got wide-open targets to throw to because Sean Payton is a real G as an offensive coordinator / head coach. I love Matt LaFleur, but I don't think that he's as good as Sean Payton is right now. And Aaron Rodgers last year didn't have much to work with on offense, Outside of Devontae Adams, who was Aaron Rodgers' best weapon last season? Allen Lazard? I'm going to be honest with you people. Maybe I'm not doing my due diligence as a Packers fan, but I had no idea who Allen Lazard was last season. Did not know who the guy was until he got playing time. No idea who that guy was. He was an undrafted player, and Aaron Rodgers, he made him look good. He made the parts around him better than they were. And the Packers overachieved last year mainly because of Aaron Rodgers' greatness. People point to Aaron Rodgers' completion percentage last year being down. And I will say at times Aaron Rodgers did miss a couple of throws here and there that he usually doesn't miss. Like I said earlier, Aaron Rodgers from 2011 to 2017 was the best quarterback in the entire NFL. He's no longer that guy. That guy is Patrick Mahomes. That guy is Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson and Patrick Mahomes right now are probably 1A and 1B. Then I'd probably go to Aaron Rodgers for being third right now. He's good for third on my list. But, last year, Aaron Rodgers was throwing the football away when nothing was there and sacrificing his statistics to win football games. People point to the completion percentage being low. Aaron Rodgers led the NFL in throwaways. When nothing was there, Aaron Rodgers said, nope, I'm not throwing interceptions. I'm not putting our football team in position to lose. We're going to live to fight another day. And that worked. Because last year the Packers were an efficient football team that won a lot of close games because they did not turn the football over. And that started and finished with Aaron Rodgers, okay? And I'm going to be honest, folks. If Aaron Rodgers continues to play at a very high level the next couple of years, the Packers seriously need to consider trading Jordan Love to another team. I'll tell you why. This is a situation, in my opinion, that is eerily similar to when the New England Patriots drafted Jimmy Garoppolo to be the initial successor to Tom Brady. That they thought Jimmy Garoppolo could be the long-term successor to Tom Brady in New England. But because Tom Brady defied Father Time, and because Tom Brady continued to play at a high level despite being 41, 42 years old, they had to trade away Jimmy Garoppolo because they said, man, Tom Brady is playing such good football, it doesn't make sense to go out there and move on from Tom Brady. Let's just trade away Jimmy Garoppolo and see what we can get for him. And they traded Jimmy Garoppolo away to the 49ers, and it worked out for Jimmy Garoppolo, and it worked out for the Patriots. So I could see a situation where the Packers say, man, Aaron Rodgers, his prime is lasting longer than we thought. Let's just move on from Jordan Love, especially if Jordan Love can't beat out Tim Boyle. Right now, Jordan Love can't beat out Tim Boyle. He's the third string quarterback. If Jordan Love does not develop properly within the next year and a half to 2 years, they need to probably trade him. Because, like I said earlier, if Jordan Love becomes an average quarterback, that's a problem. So, I'm just throwing that idea out there. And I'm just throwing that idea out there. But I've talked enough about kind of, forecasting and whatnot. Let's talk about how the Packers have looked so far this season, okay? Like I said earlier, the Packers have looked like a pretty good football team. Now, I've heard so many people tell me, the Green Bay Packers schedule is weak. It's been a horrible schedule. They played nobody. They're not a good football team because they beat up on bad teams. Those are the same people that say the Seattle Seahawks are Super Bowl contenders. And I beg the question, who have the Seattle Seahawks beaten this season? The Falcons? The Falcons have been a joke this season. The Patriots? Did you see them versus the 49ers the other day? The Patriots don't look like a playoff team. The Cowboys? They've been a joke this year. The Dolphins? They've been a decent team, but no one's going to argue that Miami's a playoff team right now. The Vikings? The Vikings have been a bad football team. And the best team they played all year was the Cardinals, and they lost to the Cardinals. So if you're going to say the Packers have played a weak schedule and that they're not Super Bowl contenders, keep that same energy for Seattle. Keep that same energy for Tampa Bay, who got blown out by the Saints in week number 1, even though they did beat the Green Bay Packers pretty badly. Keep that same energy for the Tennessee Titans, who have yet to beat a good team this season. Keep that same energy for the Baltimore Ravens, who, outside of beating Cleveland this year, have not beaten a good team. In fact, they got blown out by the Kansas City Chiefs earlier in the season. So, that's fool's gold. I've already addressed that. The Packers, they're a 5-1 football team right now. Now, obviously, Aaron Rodgers, top 3 quarterback in the NFL right now. He's playing great. Aaron Jones has really developed into a star running back. He's great. Devontae Adams, at worst, a top 10 wide receiver in the NFL. Really good offensive line that has been a lot better than I expected this year. The defense does worry me a little bit, but you look at the players that Green Bay has in their defense. Jair Alexander, Kevin King, Adrian Amos, Kenny Clark, the Smith brothers. The Packers have some very good players on defense. And really in today's NFL, it all comes down to if you can create turnovers and if you can hit the quarterback. Because offense is at an all-time high these days. A lot of defenses are struggling right now. So as long as Green Bay can hold opposing teams under 30 points and they can get a turnover or two and sack the quarterback and stop the run, they'll be fine. Right now, to me, Green Bay's a top 5 team that can definitely win the Super Bowl, in my opinion. But what's going to hold the Green Bay Packers back? In my opinion, what's holding the Green Bay Packers back from being surefire Super Bowl favorites potentially is the fact that they cannot seem to play a physical brand of football. They struggle with bully ball. What do I mean by that? In the past couple of years, we've seen physical football teams like the Seahawks with the Legion of Boom, the 49ers multiple times, and even now Tampa Bay, who just boat raced the Packers early in the season. We've seen these physical football teams that play a smash mouth style of football at times, push Green Bay around, and knock them out the playoffs. And at times, Green Bay has been a finesse football team. And this year, at times, they've been a finesse football team, definitely. And sure, Aaron Rodgers can look good versus the Texans. Sure, he can look good versus the Falcons, the Vikings, the Lions. But for whatever reason, when this Packers offense over the past couple of years has faced good defenses and physical defensive fronts, they've struggled. And I'm not going to judge Green Bay on beating Minnesota. I'm not going to judge Green Bay on beating Philadelphia because they'll beat Philadelphia later in the year probably. They'll probably beat Carolina later in the year. There are several games I want to really, truly watch Green Bay play. The 49ers game, both Chicago Bears games, the Colts game, and the Titans game. Those games will truly tell us how good Green Bay is. I'm going to give Green Bay a semi-pass for losing badly to Tampa Bay just because Aaron Rodgers had a bad game. And sometimes you face a team that's desperate like Tampa Bay was at the time because Tampa Bay, had they lost that game to Green Bay, they would be really behind the 8 ball. That's how low the NFC is. Tampa Bay just really caught fire that game. They played as good of a football game as you could have played in Green Bay. They just didn't execute. But if Green Bay seriously is a great team, I expect them to put on a good show versus San Francisco, win or lose. Same thing with Chicago, same thing with Indianapolis, and same thing with Tennessee. And ideally, if you're a Green Bay Packers fan, you want your team to get that number 1 seed. Because I truly believe that Green Bay can beat Tampa Bay. But right now, Tampa Bay has a better roster than Green Bay. That's not arguable. Tampa Bay's defense is better, okay, right now than Green Bay's. And we saw Green Bay and Tampa Bay face off on the same field a couple weeks ago. It was not close. Now, I do anticipate that if Green Bay were to play Tampa again, that game will be pretty close. It'll be much closer. But see, here's the thing. Would you rather travel to Tampa Bay once again for an AFC title game where Tampa Bay has a Super Bowl berth on the line in Tampa Bay, might I add, because this year the Super Bowl is going to be played in Tampa Bay. You know those referees might try to rig the game. I'm not saying the NFL is rigged, but you know how most NFL fans know how it goes. Sometimes officials are on the other team's side that has home field advantage. And would you rather face Tom Brady in sunny, warm Florida, or would you rather have Tom Brady roll into that bad man Aaron Rodgers house in the frozen tundra, in the snow? Because Tampa Bay, they're used to playing in the hot, sunny weather. They're not used to going and playing in snowy temperatures in Green Bay, Wisconsin. That's what Aaron Rodgers and the Packers are built for. They're built to play in that weather because they played in that weather in the past. So if Green Bay wants to ideally win the Super Bowl, Tampa Bay might need to get knocked out before they face them. Okay, because I even picked Tampa Bay to win the Super Bowl before the season started. And Tampa Bay, they've been as good as advertised at times. And now they've gotten Antonio Brown. Now, I'm not saying all hope is lost for Aaron Rodgers and the Packers. And I'm not even saying that Tampa Bay is locked to win the Super Bowl. I'm just saying if Green Bay wants a really true shot to win the Super Bowl, they need that number 1 seed. Because Aaron Rodgers, he's been at times unstoppable in the playoffs at home. Now, he did lose to Eli Manning a couple years ago, after going 15-1 in the season. But, it happens at times. He did lose to Colin Kaepernick at home in the playoffs. But that's been the only 2 blemishes in Aaron Rodgers' career in home games in the playoffs. Aaron Rodgers, he's been a dominant quarterback for the most part at home in the playoffs. So, Green Bay, if you want to win the Super Bowl, it'd be ideal to hold on to that number 1 seed. And also, Green Bay, it'd be smart to go out and get a guy like Will Fuller or Michael Gallup or another wide receiver because, for whatever reason, Green Bay just said, yeah, we're going to rely on Marquez Valdes-Scantling to take the next step instead of drafting guys like KJ Hamler and Chase Claypool. Not a smart decision. Not a smart decision. So if I'm Green Bay, I'm making a move at the trading deadline because, again, I like Allen Lazard. I think MVS has talent. I like Green Bay's tight ends. Green Bay does have a real run game. But in order to beat Tampa Bay, you're going to need to put up points, and you're probably not going to need to do it in bunches. And Will Fuller, with a guy like Devontae Adams, that'd be something to behold, really, truly. So Green Bay, try to get that number 1 seed, and maybe make a move at the trading deadline to help out your boy Aaron Rodgers, because he definitely deserves another weapon and he really could use another weapon. And last but not least, people, I've always given Aaron Rodgers the benefit of the doubt for most of his career, just because at times he hasn't had the greatest of defenses. At times he's never had a real run game. At times McCarthy held the team back with his lack of adjustments as a head coach. Well, guess what, Aaron Rodgers? Mike McCarthy, he's now gone. Matt LaFleur is a pretty good head coach. As far as I'm concerned, you got a real run game in Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Jones and Jamal Williams, they're pretty good. As far as I'm concerned, Aaron Rodgers, your defense isn't a top 5 unit, but they got some good players in that defense. The defense is much improved from years past. Aaron Rodgers, you're slowly running out of excuses. You need to deliver. Aaron Rodgers, even if you lose to Tom Brady and the Buccaneers potentially, or Russell Wilson and the Seahawks in the playoffs, it's fine, it happens. But you can't get blown out again. I don't want to see Aaron Rodgers looking as bad as he looked in the first half last year versus San Francisco. I want to see Aaron Rodgers put on a show in the playoffs. And I want to see Aaron Rodgers play great in the playoffs. And for what it's worth, Aaron Rodgers, for the most part, he's going to show up in the playoffs more times than not. Aaron Rodgers, in his playoff career, in 18 career playoff starts, has never failed to score 20 points in a playoff game. Keep in mind, Tom Brady won a Super Bowl scoring 13 points versus the Los Angeles Rams. Let that sink in, folks. But Aaron Rodgers, this is the best roster you've had since 2014, where if it were not for Brandon Bostic, you probably go to a second Super Bowl and you probably beat the Patriots. I would have probably favored the Packers to beat the Patriots that year. That Green Bay team was pretty good. But yeah, Aaron Rodgers, you gotta step up to the plate, man. And at some point, we have to stop blaming the coaching staff for Aaron Rodgers' deficiencies. At some point, we have to stop blaming the lack of a run game, the lack of, the offensive line blocking very well, the lack of defense. We have to stop blaming the things around Aaron Rodgers and start holding him accountable. The last couple of seasons, the last, almost decade, because the last 8 to 9 years, the Packers have not, really given Aaron Rodgers the best rosters. I've given Aaron a pass for the most part, and he's deserved that pass. But now Aaron Rodgers has a very good roster that is not solely dependent upon his greatness. Now, he's got to go out there and ball, but he has enough help to win a Super Bowl. That's all I'm saying. And if you're the greatest thrower of the football in NFL history, and that's what I believe Aaron Rodgers is, he's the most talented quarterback I've ever seen. I've always said Tom Brady is the greatest and most accomplished quarterback of all time. But if we're talking about who's the best quarterback of all time, who's played the position at the highest level, that's Aaron Rodgers. If you're that guy, I expect more than one Super Bowl. If you want Mike McCarthy fired, I expect you to win a Super Bowl with your next head coach if they're serviceable enough. And Matt LaFleur, he's more than serviceable. He's a pretty good young head coach. So guess what, Aaron Rodgers? You're on the clock right now. Your excuses have officially run out. And by the way, if Aaron Rodgers were to retire with only one Super Bowl, that'd be a disappointment. Because if you're the greatest thrower of the football in NFL history, I expect you to get at least 2 Super Bowls. Eli Manning has 2. Ben Roethlisberger has 2. And both those quarterbacks are not better than Aaron Rodgers. Joe Flacco has 1 Super Bowl. Nick Foles has 1 Super Bowl. Aaron Rodgers, I need you to win at least another Super Bowl before your career is over, because if I consider you the greatest thrower of the football, that comes with lofty, high expectations. And I expect Aaron Rodgers to deliver, and I believe within the next 4 or 5 seasons, Aaron Rodgers will win another Super Bowl. Will it be this year, in Super Bowl 55, that Aaron Rodgers captures his second ring? Well, only time will tell. Well, guys, that's pretty much all I have for the show today. Thank you so much for tuning in today. Have a God bless day, all of you. Stay safe. Go Pack, go. And I'm Ghost. Thank you so much for watching this video today. Please also note that the juiciest Sports Podcast is not just a YouTube channel. It is available on all podcasting platforms, including Spotify, Google Podcasts, iTunes, and Apple Podcasts. Also, if you enjoyed this video, be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and share this content with all your friends. This podcast is my favorite thing in the entire world right now. It is my passion. And I want more people to listen to this podcast. I really want this podcast to grow. Also, a fun fact about me is that I want to go into the sports broadcasting and media world once I graduate from the University of Toledo, a college in Northern Ohio. I am looking to become one of the next great sports broadcasters and analysts out in the world. And I potentially would like to start my own network if this podcast really truly grows. Or if I fall short of that goal, I would love to work for a big time network like ESPN or Fox Sports 1. I am open to all networks. So if you believe in my dreams and you see or hear my passion through the screen, be sure to tell all your friends about the juiciest Sports Podcast. Stay motivated, you guys. Have a God bless day, and I'm out.